She's the kind of woman who enters a room and instantly shifts the energy. With a physique sculpted through relentless discipline and a mind sharp with purpose, she embodies strength in every sense, mental, physical, and emotional. She breaks molds, challenges expectations, and turns every stare into a statement. But beyond the stage lights and flex frames lies something deeper, a passion for performance, a love for clean fuel, and a sensational confidence that dares to be both fierce and feminine. She's not just building muscle, she's building a movement. This is Life with Amber. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
You made me sound so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you are amazing. That's
Thank
what
you.
the show is about, shedding light on people doing extraordinary things,
Well,
unconventional
thank you.
things.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You want to go ahead and get right into it?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right, so let's go ahead and start out, with the origin story. Where you from? And yeah.
So right now I live in the area. Winchester, Virginia is my home gym. My daughter goes to school there, so I live in West Virginia, but commute every day to Winchester. So I just say I'm from Virginia.
Okay, Virginia, VA.
Yeah.
Shout out to VA.
Yeah.
So I want to say like what originally got you into bodybuilding, but let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
What got you into like fitness, sports?
So I actually didn't really start getting into fitness until I was 30. I grew up, I was the oldest of 6 kids. My dad was military, and we grew up in a very religious upbringing. My dad was a pastor from the time I was 9. We were in 3 different churches. And then I actually went to Bible college when I was 18.
Okay.
And studied Bible. I studied music. I actually was a professional flautist for a long time, did classical training, and married my first husband, and he was also a pastor. We went to a church, and just very, for females, it's very a dominating type atmosphere. You can't wear certain clothes. You're not allowed to express yourself in, makeup, hair. You pretty much do what the men want you to do. And then my marriage behind closed doors, he was a pastor in public, and then behind closed doors, very verbally and sexually abusive. It got to the point where I was wanting to end my life, and that's when I decided that I was going to leave. I had just had my daughter. She was about a year and a half, and then I decided to leave, and I came back here. This is where my family was at the time, and started completely over. It took me about a year to 2 years to kind of figure out my career, how to take care of my kid, and figure out my schedule. And that's when I got back into the gym. I've always loved the gym. I just did a lot of home workouts because I wasn't allowed to actually go to a gym because it was sinful to make men lust after you, and you just felt like a weirdo because the clothes you would wear would just be you just looked weird. So I didn't go to the gym and just did home workouts. But I always loved the aspect of fitness. But growing up, I was very athletic with sports. I loved being out with the neighborhood kids. I loved being on a team. I loved doing that type of stuff. So I knew the athletic side of me was there. I always loved it. But in the realm of bodybuilding / working out, just a healthy lifestyle, I really didn't start getting into it until I was 32.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So do you think that like your reinvention of yourself, do you think the gym was a way of you doing that? Do you think
absolutely.
that it was like a frustration built up and you kind of unleash yourself in the gym?
Yeah, it was actually like, for me, it was freedom. I was able to focus on just me. I didn't have to live up to an expectation of somebody that, was on a computer screen, or the expectation of walking into a church and making sure I looked exactly how the men wanted me to look. So it was really the first time I felt freedom because it was for me. I didn't have anyone else I was doing it for. So yeah.
I can get that. Yeah, that's powerful actually.
Yeah.
Like what a way to release that,
Yes.
get into your bag.
I agree.
So how do you feel now?
Oh, I'm a completely different woman. Like, I already was a different woman when I decided I was leaving, because you didn't, like, you never, it was extremely looked down upon to divorce. Like, you married to be that person for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So that was already a really hard decision, but I made it. And then transforming into somebody that I didn't even know who I was. You know, my whole life I had been groomed to be a woman of the church and a good wife and a stay-at-home mom and homeschool my kids. And so leaving all of that, I had no clue who I was. I knew I was confident. I knew I was sassy. I knew I was stylish, but I was never allowed to express it. So going into that journey, a virgin, I don't even know what other word to use it other than, hey, we're going to make a lot of mistakes, but
so it was like
we're going to do it.
A journey of like self-discovery.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And bodybuilding was just kind of like the butterfly fully coming out of the cocoon, you know, like was the wing moment for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're doing great at it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. So let's talk about the bodybuilding a little bit. Thanks for sharing, by the way.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. How would you describe the feeling of being on stage under the lights and in like peak condition?
So my first stage experience, I was so nervous, you know, like I had no idea what to expect. I had no idea like what competition actually looked like, but your prep is so, like, you're obviously are cutting down the fat to showcase the physique you have. But my first show honestly was just like the experience, because the more I went into my leanness, the more I realized I didn't have the muscle development that I thought I had. So it was really just a experience type show for me.
Yeah.
Just get out there, do it. Of course, I look great. I put in a ton of work. But my second show was when I was like, okay, I know what the expectation now is for bikini. I know what the expectation is for my cut. I know what my off-season expectation is. So the second stage was so much more, I would say, a competition for me, because I went into that one having the experience, but also I took my posing way more seriously. I took my cut way more seriously. And then my off-season, you know, putting on a good amount of muscle mass was super important. So that took a lot of work too. So second stage was for me a lot more rewarding.
Okay, so it feels good to, like, when you're under the lights and everybody's watching you, does it feel like a sense of like your hard work paid off?
Oh yeah, like it's almost like, I don't know, like females on their wedding day, it's, you just want it to be over. You're so hungry.
Yeah.
You're so like looking for that hamburger at the end of it. And you're just
bet.
Like,
that must be tough.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're to go in onto the stage, you're water deprived because you're drying out. You're majorly food deprived because you don't want to bloat at all, you know, so you want to go on super tight. And so by the time you get on stage, you're honestly just like,
where do you think that discipline came from, though?
I don't know. I don't know if it was like my military upbringing. You know, my dad was very regimented. My mom was very regimented. We were homeschooled all growing up. But, you know, being of a, you know, a big house, everything was always regimented, you know, like discipline all the time, in a good way. And then by the time I was 15, I was already working 3 jobs because my family wasn't going to pay for anything. You know, I was already taking care of myself pretty much.
So the work ethic was there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I knew, like, I've always had drive. I just pointed it in a different direction.
Right. So, like, do you remember the moment that you realized, like, this isn't just fitness anymore? This is like who I am.
Yeah, it was honestly my first show. So I wanted, you know, my big 30. I went and had my first margarita and went skydiving, and then I was turning 35
Hold on. You had your first margarita at 30?
Yeah, my first alcoholic beverage was at the age of 30.
Wow.
Yes. Grew up no alcohol, you know, so first tattoo
honestly,
was at 30.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's
you know,
amazing.
It taught me, I think it helped me, because obviously after I went into kind of like a drinking frenzy, and this is kind of a different part of the story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of lost myself finding myself because I
Mm.
never experienced dating. I never experienced sex. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
my wedding day was my first sex ever,
Mm-hmm.
first kiss. So I was like, "Wee, let's go!" You
Right.
know. So through that first year of freedom, I was like, "Okay, we're gonna rein that back a bit."
Mm-hmm.
so,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a crazy.
So it was only a year that.
Yeah, I learned real quick.
Yeah.
I think age helped though. You know, I was a
Absolutely.
mom.
Maturity.
Yeah, I was a
Yeah.
mom, so I was like, certain things.
You realize, okay, I tried it out.
Yeah,
Let's keep it moving.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. So,
You still drink?
no,
No.
actually, no.
Wow.
I mean, every once in a while, I might grab me like a whiskey or a dirty
Mhm.
martini, but no.
Okay. Is
I
that
do
part of
not.
your like
Yeah, it just
your
doesn't.
fitness program
Yeah,
or it's personal?
it just both,
Mm.
both. I've seen the effects personally of alcohol, and I've seen how it can negatively affect all realms. But if you're really really striving for a physique or you're
Mhm.
really striving for a healthy lifestyle, it honestly doesn't fit into that equation.
Mhm.
Like there's no benefits of it. Period.
Absolutely. It's like that.
Zero.
Yeah. It's like that saying. Well, I wouldn't really say like a saying, but some people think like balance, or it's a little bit here, but it's honestly, it's like you have to ask yourself, what is
Yeah.
the actual
What are you
purpose,
sacrificing for that balance?
and what is it actually benefiting you
Right.
from? Does it
Yeah.
actually make you happy? Is
Right.
it actually benefiting your body? Is it actually a quality?
Exactly.
So there's no reason. There is no like just.
I
So
agree.
yeah, I definitely like that. Awesome. So, what's the biggest misconception people still have about female bodybuilders?
You don't eat. They're
Mm.
like, oh, you look good. You must only eat 1,100 calories. Like that
Mhm.
might be my, peak week calorie, but my off season, I'm eating close to 3,000 calories a day.
Mm.
It's a lot of food, so that misconception that in order to have a nice physique, you must not eat, especially for females, like that's where my heart's at, because that is such a huge misconception
Mhm.
and it's so unhealthy. So just putting it out there that eat,
Yeah.
eat your damn food and you can still have a good physique,
Mhm.
it just needs to.
Do you think that is that why like women kind of shy away from the bodybuilding?
I think so. I think too. So bodybuilding only makes up like 2% of the world's population. It's definitely becoming more popular, but it's not a normal sport. It is a very physically, mentally demanding sport. So if a female comes to me and she's like, well, I want to look like you, I'm not going to immediately be like, well, you need to be a bodybuilder, because that's an unrealistic expectation for a lot of people/females, period. But you can have a great physique and a balanced, healthy lifestyle and be happy. Like if you don't have to go through a cut, don't go through a cut.
Right.
That's just for the insane ones to do. But yeah, a healthy lifestyle is definitely achievable.
Yeah, I think that's important for women to know who might be interested in it, honestly.
Yes,
yeah, so thanks for
absolutely.
sharing that. Can you walk us through a day in the life during competition prep?
We're talking like 12 weeks out or 6 weeks out or 3 weeks out.
Well, how long is
So a
competition prep?
normal prep healthily is about 21 weeks. So you'll start
That's a long
21 weeks
time.
out from a show. And that's just so you're able to somewhat healthily get that lean without killing your body. Now, for people that do this, like this is their full-time job. They stay pretty lean year round. They can do a cut in 6 to 8 weeks. But for people who have pretty normal lives outside of this, it's about 21 weeks.
So what does that process look like from day one to the end of?
So day one, like if you're just starting, you're gonna just see your calories start to decrease. So that again just depends. A lot of times people think that getting on stage is all about a weight. Like I'll have a girl message me and she'll be like, "Hey, what weight do I need to be on stage?" You could step on stage 150 pounds, but it's just a look of leanness and muscle development and stuff like that.
So there's no like weight class in bodybuilding?
There isn't. Nope, no weight class. It's just you have the physique that we're looking for, go present it. So that's just where you and your coach really, like that's where your off season is important, and that's where you figure out your metabolism. Like obviously the goal is to keep as much muscle as possible, so you're not wanting to decrease calories too soon, because you don't want to eat the muscle that you've worked so hard to build.
Right.
So it's different, honestly, every prep.
So how long in a 21 week, example, how long is cut week? Or does it vary?
It change, like your calories are going to decrease every week.
Okay.
For the most part, usually around 100 to 200 calories a week, leading into your peak week, the week before your show, where you get dried out real good, and then your coach carbs you up to kind of fill you back out for show day. So it honestly just depends on your metabolism and what you and your coach know is going to work for your body at that time. So it's different for everyone.
Okay. What does mental strength look like for you, especially on the days when your body wants to quit?
So mentally, it is probably the most. My second show mentally was way harder than my first show. I think my first show, I was so excited. I didn't know what to expect. I had no idea what my body was doing. I was just so excited. I was like, oh, yay, we're going to go do this. My second show, my body and brain knew exactly what I was doing. And it was like, oh, hell no. Like, no, we're not doing that. So it fought me a lot harder, that one. My last 4 to 5 weeks mentally, there was a few days I was like, I literally can't do this. Your body just is so weak, and I'm a mom, and I'm like, I can't even be there for my kid because I just want to go to sleep. You're so hungry. So you're literally starving yourself, to be lean enough. And that's where the sport can get unhealthy very quickly. So that's why it's super important to have whatever type of, for me, I journal a lot during that time, or I'll read or listen to podcasts, just things to kind of take my brain off of the hunger, or the fact that my brain is telling me, like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Go eat a burger.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Do you think there's like a certain pleasure in pushing yourself to like the limit?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's pleasure, but I would say it's pleasurable in the fact that you know what you're going to get out of it afterwards. So it's not fun right now, but like during that time, but mentally what you just gained from that. Being able to deprive yourself of things that your body fully needs, but still be strong enough to say, no, we're still going to do this. It takes a whole nother level of mental strength. Because a lot of people won't do it. Oh yeah,
patience.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then it takes discipline even after your show. A lot of times people think after a show you just start eating healthy, and you can't. Like literally, you can't.
Because your body,
it doesn't know how to process food anymore, other than the lean amount of meat and rice you're eating before. So it's called a reverse diet. It's about 6 to 8 weeks of slowly adding food back in to allow your body to figure out how to process it again. Otherwise,
it's like doing a fast. They say like
the
most unhealthiest way or biggest mistake people make is like what they eat after the fast.
Exactly.
Your body it
doesn't know how to process it. Yeah, and it will transfer it all to fat. There is no muscle at that point. I've seen girls gain 40 pounds in a month, and it's not a good 40 pounds.
That is crazy.
Yes,
in a month.
Yes, so that reverse diet is so important. So it takes mental strength after, because now your body's had the burger, your body's had the little post-show treats, and it's like, we don't have to do this anymore. Like we're done. So then training your brain, like, no, we're still going to delay normal life because you can't handle normal life right now, so
there's like a sense of like mind body connection going on
right there. And that's like what you have to be very comfortable with asking yourself some really hard questions. And I feel like that's why this sport isn't for everyone, because you really have to have a sense of self-control, but also just yourself, knowing like, okay, this is asking yourself some pretty hard questions during those times of fasting. In a way, you're so dry in all aspects, so it's honestly a really good time for self-reflection because you have nothing else to do. So that's one reason why I enjoy it, because I asked myself, I figured out a lot about myself through these cuts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like how has that lifestyle like shaped your confidence?
So I put myself out there a lot, through social media and stuff like that. And I think that in one way has helped my confidence. But just the bodybuilding aspect, I think it's helped my confidence because I don't rely on other people's opinions of myself. Like, of course, I'm going to get opinions. Like, I have a coach, I have judges who literally critique my physique on stage, so I get critiqued every single day. And I think that's why it's helped my self-confidence, because you'll have people that really like your physique, but then you'll also have the haters that are like, oh, you look like a man, or there's no, you're just doing this for sexual attention from men. And it's like, honestly, no, but you have whatever opinion you want of it. So the self-confidence has grown a ton because
kind of give you like a thicker skin.
Yeah.
Like rejecting
I
what people
critique
think.
myself
Right.
every single damn day. And I'm hard on myself.
Yeah,
so if
like,
you
you
think your critique's gonna hurt me, I can promise you
right.
it's
not even close to how I
No.
critique myself. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So good luck with that. Now if you're somebody who like is in this realm and I have like a connection with you and you're like, hey, you're looking kind of beefy there. I'll be okay. I
Yeah, because you do have to take in, like, it has to come from like a trusted source.
Exactly. And someone who I know like has my best interest still at heart, but
and you can tell it's coming from a place of like love, where it's like it hits your inner spirit, like, oh, that wasn't like a critique, that was genuine expression.
Yes, exactly. So
that's awesome. I definitely can see how that can build your confidence. You know what I mean? Just putting yourself through those battles and then coming out on top, and then it's like you were saying, like,
it's also an I don't want to say arrogance thing, because it's not an arrogance thing, but it's not like you look down on other people. But when someone comes at you with something hateful, or even someone who's almost like a backhanded compliment, like, you look good, but I know you don't eat, or something like that, or you look good, but it's only for Instagram, or show day, whatever. It takes those types of comments and it makes you look at that person not in a how dare you say that to me, but in a way of like,
I get exactly what you're saying.
I have done so much more to my body than you would ever dream of doing to your body. So it's almost like a pity thing, because I pity the fact that you will never know this part of yourself.
Yeah, it's like people that haters is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That will say anything from the outside perspective, but they haven't even endured any of the things that you've been through. So how could you even have that type of opinion? Like, you literally, and I understand what you're saying, it's like you literally don't understand.
So it's almost like you feel bad for them in a way, because you're like, you're coming at me, but you honestly have no idea.
Can't feel bad for them for too long.
Yeah. So I'll let you have your hate. That's fine.
Yeah, keep it rolling. Watch me do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you see your body as like armor, art, or something entirely different?
So I love that question, because I think of it on season, off season. Like, your body is an amazing thing. So on season, obviously, like, you've got your muscles popping out more, you're more chiseled. And so for me, that's the time to express, like, I would say, the art of it. That's why I'll do a lot more photo shoots, or I'll do a lot more like sensual type, I don't know, movements or stuff like that, because it's a lot of hard work, and I'm like, I'm gonna celebrate that part of my body. And I think that's where females, I'm going to speak on that side, struggle is, it's almost like taboo. It's either you're all sexual or you're all like bodybuilder / manly, in that, that's how people view that. And it's like, no, you can totally express your femininity in this muscular world. And there's so much power in that, being able, not only for yourself, but for other people to see, like, she's a gorgeous female and she's worked really hard, but she's also really cool in her off season too. She does have a personality. She does work really hard for that chiseled look,
So it's about the entire,
yeah. It shows strength. That's why I love Wonder Woman so much. Like, just that vibe.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, graceful and powerful and gorgeous all at the same time.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And kind.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't just train, you fuel like a pro. What's your nutrition philosophy?
So I would say on season, like in a cut, you don't really have a philosophy. It's just you're doing whatever your coach is telling you. Like, hey, don't be eating those free meals. Don't be doing extra calories, anything like that. So that's where that discipline comes in, and you just pretty much whole foods. Your whole protein sources, and then rice and potatoes for carbs. Off season, I would say it's more of, for me personally, it's like an 80-20. I'm pretty much 80% on plan all the time, and then 20% I'll enjoy life a little bit. But that's still a planned enjoyment. And I think the word that comes to mind for just fitness period for me is just mindfulness. Like I can eat 25 crumble cookies right now if I want to.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sabotage the show. But, like what am I gaining from that?
Right.
Why am I doing it? And I'm going to tailor my workouts for around that time. So being mindful of my free meals. I don't like calling them cheat meals because you're not cheating. It's good to have a normal, healthy balance.
Right. And being aware and like realizing like, yeah, I might be hungry, but
yeah. Why do I need to eat?
Exactly.
Right now?
You just have an appetite. You're not necessarily hungry.
And a lot of times I'm hungry because I'm bored.
Exactly.
Like, it's like my kid, I'm bored. I want snack, mom. And it's like, well, okay, you just had one 5 minutes ago. But I'm the same way. I'm like, if I have nothing to do, I just want to chomp down on something.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And that's what I mean by with like the appetite versus hunger.
Yep.
It's just
exactly.
a habit sometimes.
Yep. But again, no one asks themselves that question. Why am I eating?
Exactly.
Why do I need to eat right now?
So that's like your main
yeah
way of keeping yourself on that line is
Yes.
just like asking yourself like, hold on, why am I eating this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I have days, I have a day where I'm just like, I'm
about to go crazy.
Fuck it.
Yeah. What's your like favorite?
Pick back up tomorrow.
What's your favorite go-to like cheat meal?
Oh man, cheat meal. Well, I'm a sucker for ice cream. Like I love ice cream, but I don't know. It changed. I love hamburgers, like a Five Guys burger, large. Eat the whole bag of fries, or I don't know. Pizza.
How long does it take you to like after you get your cheat meal? Like how do you feel after that?
Good. Yeah. Like I don't feel bad about enjoying life,
right.
And I think that's where that balance comes in. I know I'm not going to do that tomorrow. I might want to, but I'll wake up the next day and be like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to eat my chicken and rice, right. So I think that's why you enjoy it a little bit more because you're disciplined in it.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
It's not like a normal thing. So when you do get it, and a lot of times I'll go have a cheat meal and I'm crazy disappointed because one, it's not enough food. And two, it tastes like crap. Like I could have made me a way better steak than I just paid $80 for. So
yeah. You realize it wasn't even that great.
It's not even worth it.
Yeah,
yeah, I'd rather just go get an ice cream.
Exactly. Is there something? Okay, so how do you approach a nutrition shift? Depending on your goals, like how do you approach it mentally? Like do you?
So right now I'm in the bulk phase. I'm eating a lot of food right now. And I don't know what's harder at some days, not eating the food on a cut or eating the food on a bulk, because it is a lot of food. I'll sit down to 8 ounces of rice and 7 ounces of meat. And I'm just like, I can't eat this, but your body, like you need it,
right.
To fuel what you're trying to build. So I think knowing like what the goal is, always keeping the goal in the back of your brain of like, why am I doing this? What's the why? So that, I guess that's the biggest thing for me is, I don't know, the more you get to know me, the more you're going to realize that I can't just do something because someone says, go do that.
Yeah.
Like I have to know why is it doing it?
Right,
why am I doing it? Why am I stuffing my face right now, with so much food?
You sound like a very purpose-driven person.
Yeah, purpose-driven, but also like, I don't know, the word of the day is mindfulness, I guess. Like I want to know the why behind it for myself. I know what it's doing for my physique, but for myself, what am I gaining from this in my own personal growth?
Are there any like non-negotiables? Like no matter what, I'm not going there.
Like in bodybuilding?
Yeah, or just your eating, nutrition,
yeah,
and wise.
So I don't. I'm not ever going to be I'm never going to be okay with going below 800 calories on a cut, like ever. I hear horror stories of girls being at 600 calories a day and doing 3 hours of cardio. And I'm like, that
tough.
is like, you will end up in the hospital, you know? So there are certain things on a cut that I'm more no person on a cut than I am on a bulk, because I know my body's getting the nutrients it needs. My hormones are totally normal. On a cut is when I'm like, no, it's not worth it to me to do that. And like, if it gets to a point where my body literally is starting to shut down, that's when I would pull the plug and just be like, it's not for me. You know, being a mom and a wife is way more important.
Balance it, being realistic with it. Like, hold on, how much is this really worth?
And I'm not getting paid to do this. You know what? This is an expensive sport. I'm paying to like kill myself. You know, so like, there's only so much I'm willing to do. So yeah.
Well, shout out to you, man. I know that is definitely something that a lot of bodybuilders have to go through, that constant battle of like eating, balance it with reality and stuff like that. Because I just watched a movie with Jonathan Majors. I forgot what it was called, but it's about bodybuilding, and like, it just pretty much shows his process. He went crazy, like, and it's just like, wow, but he was doing that to himself,
right?
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's definitely good to have that self-control,
right?
Man, before you get to that point.
And you know, sacrifices are going to be made, like, and you know, your body is going to be depleted. Like, you already know that, but you know when your body's like, we're about to. So that's when I'm like, okay, we're done.
Yeah, I think you have like a strong intuition when it comes to like the way you approach the bodybuilding. You know what I mean? It's like, even the way you think about eating, it's like, that's the way I like to call it myself, like intuitive eating.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
let me think before I do this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's keep it moving. So, do you feel people are more intimidated or more like sensually attracted to the bodybuilding aspect?
I would say for sure both. Well, I don't. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. So, intimidation for sure. You can. It doesn't matter what. You could be in a room with people you don't know. You could be in a room with people you do know. You immediately put people at unease because you just made them feel bad. You didn't even say anything. You just walked in and they already know that person very much cares about their physique, and I'm slamming 25 beers right now. You know, so they automatically think you're judging them. You know, like me, I just saw you, and that's literally the furthest thing from my mind. But they automatically are like, oh, this was my cheat meal. You know, it's like, you don't need to explain your life to me. You know?
Okay.
Like,
so you make people feel kind of judgy.
Yes. Yeah. They think I'm judging them, and I don't even know you. You know, it's just based off of just them seeing you in the room. And I've also lost a lot of friendships through this, because your social life changes so much. Like we said earlier, you know, I don't drink, you know, and all my friends, that's what they do on weekends. We're going to go to I don't even know what. We're going to go to the bar. We're going to go, you know, do all these wine fests. And it's like, I'll go, but I'm not drinking, you know? And I think that's where it's hard, is people think that because you say no to certain social norms, you're also saying no to them. Even though that's not the case. You know, I'd still go to the winery with you, but I'm going to enjoy just the presence of everyone and the cool atmosphere and stuff like that. So I've lost a lot of friendships through this. Like, they haven't personally said, hey, we don't want to hang out with you anymore, but
you just get the vibe.
You don't ever get invited to anything anymore. You're just like, well, okay, fine. Sensually, what was the second part of that question? Like sensual attention.
Are people intrigued?
Oh yeah, I think, yeah, for sure. And I think also because I do put myself out there a lot on social media. I'll get the brave ones, you know, that think they got a shot in the DMs. It's like, thank you. So it's like, I appreciate the fact that someone, you know, looks at me and is like, that's a very attractive female. Like, but I'm fully embrace that. You know, I thank you so much. But that comes back to that self-confidence. It's crazy because a lot of people think that because you put yourself out there like that, you immediately have like an OnlyFans page. You know, it's like, actually, no, I actually have a lot of, you know, like, no. Exactly. So I put out what I want to put out, but that's it. You know, so yeah, you do get a lot of sensual attention because they think because you wear a micro bikini to show your butt and back on stage that you're immediately like a easy target.
They don't see
It's like,
the
oh
hard work
no.
behind that and the mental aspect.
In my brain, this is not a sensual thing at all. So yeah.
Is that like a turn off, like when people don't see the hard work that you put in?
I want to say it's like a turn off, but it just shows where you're at in this realm. Like if someone's like, oh man, you're so, I don't know, like I don't know if we cuss on this thing. So, you know, like,
say how you feel.
Yeah. So I mean, you'll have people that see you in that same bikini and it's like a free porn photo, but to somebody who's in this realm, that's, I don't know how else to explain it other than like they just see it as art, the sport. That I'm not looking at her to subjectify her. I mean, you are, but not in a sensual way. I'm looking at the tie-ins. I'm looking at the muscle structure. I'm looking at the shoulders. You know, so it's it's same with me looking at a male. You know, like I see males in this sport all the time. So to me, a male physique is a male physique. It takes a lot more, I would say, mental stimulation at that point because the body is so what you're looking at all day, every day. Exactly. That's the world you're in. So you almost you don't see sensual things anymore because you're just like, yeah, that's literally every Joe Schmo in the gym right now. So the mental stimulation is what I guess would be the turn on at that point. You know, like what do you do for my brain?
Right. Exactly, because you got like the physical under
and I'm putting in just as much work, you know, so it's not like I'm reverencing you as this great being, you know, like you're a god, because I'm like, I'm doing it too.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah.
I like that. So do you think that you enjoy the way that you look when you are in that peak condition?
Honestly, that's when I'm least confident.
Wow.
Because it is, I know. I mean, it's cool in the fact that you're seeing all of the hard work in your off season. Like, oh man, my shoulders did grow by like 3 inches, or my glutes are crazy bigger and stuff like that. So you appreciate it in that aspect. But unless you're in the gym or unless you're in a posing suit, you look sick. Like your face just loses all structure. Your clothes do not fit you like at all, period. So you lose your femininity in that aspect. You just kind of look like people are looking at you to judge you, you know, go eat a burger or something. So yeah, I think, yeah, for me personally, that leanness, I'm my least confident.
So
I'm confident for stage. I'm not confident in my daily life. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, you make sense. You're confident with it makes perfect sense. Because like you said, it's about that balance, which over here it's like a different way of comparison of what is.
And like also I know I'm not healthy. You know, and that's
so it's the internal thought process, like dang,
I know my body looks cool, but I know I can't do shit. Like lifting weights, like I'm not setting PRs at all. So that's the struggle too, is I know what I can push in my off season and it's not even close on my on season. So seeing your body deteriorate strength wise and just your feminine curves, it's a whole nother level of mental strength to just look past that and be like, no, this is what we need. So
you actually stage. You actually enjoy like your
the off season body. Yeah. Now there's a caveat to that too. You know, like right now we're kind of pushing the, you know, chunky side for me, you know, so I'm like, you know, certain things I'm like, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable, but again, I also know the reason why. So I have to be okay with that uncomfortable, just like I have to be okay with the uncomfortable to be that lean. So it's hard for both, but I feel way more confident in my off season body, feminine wise.
Right. I feel like you're back to normal,
I'm healthy. Yeah.
Do you feel like sexy when you're like in front of the camera?
Like on season or off season?
Not really on season, but like off season. So like just regular day in the gym and you're lit.
Yeah, I think so. I want to say like I feel sexy, but I know I feel powerful. I think that's but for me, power is sexy. You know, like someone being able to look at their strength as sexiness is sexy to me. you know. Like it's not about like the boobs and the butt, it's about like the hard work, it's the dedication, it's me showing up on a day I didn't want to show up, it's me still eating healthily when I don't want to eat healthily.
And it's self-love.
Yes,
That's sexy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm okay with telling myself no, and I know I'm okay with saying yes to myself. And so yeah, in the gym I would say I feel my most confident on and off season.
Dope. I love working out too, man.
Yeah,
It's definitely a different type of high, type of addiction. You
it
know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah, I mean you're releasing endorphins, your
Exactly.
dopamine levels are, you know, so it's mentally it helps you in so many ways.
Absolutely. So when you're, let's say, since we're talking about working out and all that, like, is there a certain part of your body that gets most attention?
So again, that depends on the class that you're competing in. So bikini was my first 2 shows.
So they're all different.
They're all different. So you train for what you're trying to showcase on the stage. So bikini is very much that still sensual look. You know, like we have that nice S shape to our bodies. We have nice little shoulder caps. We have nice glute
Like
tie-ins.
soft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
softer muscle. This next show though, we were thinking I was going to do wellness, which is all lower dominant. So we were structuring food and workout splits to mostly legs. But now we switched up and we're doing figure, which is, call it the upside down Dorito, to where you're top dominant. Your shoulders, your lats, all of that is showcased. It's totally different posing and stuff like that.
So that's more of like a bulkier look?
It's still a lean look, but it's not, I guess, as sensual posing as bikini. Like bikini's still like, hey, I'm pretty and here's my, you know, nice little glutes and stuff. Figure is now going into more of like, I'm gonna crush you with my arms,
right,
and my back. You know, like these girls do their lat spreads and they're just like cobras in the back.
Do you prefer one over the other?
I don't, because there's beauty in all of it. There's still strength, and there's still, and again, it all depends on your body structure. So if your body doesn't allow you to grow in that area, then just grow in the realm that you're in. You know, bikini is still a very muscular looking sport, especially in certain divisions that you're in. But the higher up you go with figure, wellness is all lower dominant, and then you have physique, which is just an all over, much more muscular look. So yeah, it all depends on the category you're going to compete in.
Okay, that's interesting. I never knew that. I thought it was just every time like the whole.
Yeah.
And like I always wonder like how they judge, like what exactly are they looking at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched like
I watched
shows?
but not the judging part of it.
Oh, I gotcha.
Or unless I didn't understand the score
the
part.
Difference. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it is a really cool to see the variations in the trainings. Yeah.
That's awesome. Learn something new every day. Shout out to bodybuilding, man. What's something about you that people would never expect, especially when the gym lights turn off?
I'm so quirky. Like I'm not, people think I'm like this put together person, and I'm like baggy clothes, hoodie, ratchet looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love training, but outside of that, I love my chickens. I love being on the river. You know, I'm just a chill vibe. You know, I'm not intense. I mean, well, that's not true. I think I am intense, but in different ways. You know, I'm not like coming at you.
Always bodybuilding mode.
Yeah, exactly. So I think people, when they get to know me, they're like, oh man, she's actually really,
she's dope.
Yeah, that's what I would hope, you know, or and a humble, you know, like I know I can ask her how to work a piece of equipment, you know, or I know I can ask her pretty much anything, you know, and she's going to be honest with me. So honest humility is something that I hope I get for the rest of my life.
Shout out to that.
Yeah.
So for you, what does feminine power mean right now?
Feminine power for me is, one, taking the steps to know who you truly are and being okay with being alone. I think that's a big thing that our society pushes. Like, you have to always be with people, you know, or like, well, who are you dating, or who are you, like, who are your friends? And it's like, sometimes you just need to be okay with you. And there's power in knowing the you when you're struggling mentally. There's power in the knowing the you when you're, you know, doing great. mentally, and being able to know who you are in high moments and low moments is so important. Especially for if you're in a relationship, like I fully believe you cannot bring value to a relationship if you don't first know and value yourself.
Amen to that.
And so I think that's where a lot of our society lacks, is they're constantly looking for validation from everything and everyone else. And it's like, that's going to run out.
So what do you want your legacy to be? Not just on stage, but off of it.
Legacy, I would hope that somebody would always, like, if my name ever comes up, that was a badass female. Not only because she cared about her physical health and her mental health, but because she cared about others that were around her, and she wanted to input, whatever good she had into those that were close to her. So I think it's nothing profound. It's just I want somebody to know she cared, and not only for herself, but for me too.
Well, I can feel it from right here.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much for joining the show, man. So
Absolutely.
One last thing before we get out of here. Where can we find you at?
So you can find me on my Instagram, Life with Amber 22. I'm also on TikTok, Life with Amber, new to TikTok. And then you can find me in the gym, local area near you.
You can find me in the gym.
Yeah, find me in the gym. No, I love when I travel. I always look up gyms in my area. People that I follow on Instagram, I'll be in their area and I'll be like, hey, I want to come to your gym. Or other fellow bodybuilders, I'll travel and go see them and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
What can we expect next?
Bigger and better.
Hey.
Bigger and better. This off season is going to be a long one. I think at least another year. I'm really packing on some, hopefully more dense muscle and stuff like that. So I'm excited to bring a totally different package to 2026. So
what events coming up should we be looking out for?
Honestly, I don't have like any major events.
Okay.
No, nothing. I'm kind of laying low this year.
So just pay attention.
I'm focusing on myself. I'm focusing on my social media. I'm focusing on my personal goals, and then hopefully 2026. I don't know. Blow everyone out of the water.
Hey, well, we're looking forward to figuring it out, man.
Well, thank you.
I look forward to following you too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, thanks for coming again.
For
That's
sure.
it, man. That's Life with Amber.
Peace.